NASA's demonic, and I am going to prove it to you. This will be my last moon landing video, though, because people are getting way too emotional about the facts I've shared. People argue that Jack Parson is the father of the American space program. When Jack wasn't busy working in the lab, he was the leader of an occult group that practiced sex magic. And who was his favorite person to practice sex magic with? L. Ron Hubbard, the man who would go on to found Scientology. They would do all sorts of freaky rituals to invoke the god of abominations. Before testing rockets, Parson would literally chant hymns to demons. Notice they name all of the rockets and planets after pagan gods. If you think that's not so bad, why don't you look into who Epstein and the elites are worshipping? Even if you don't believe in the demonic, there's still weird secret stuff going on. A quarter of the men who have allegedly walked on the moon are Freemasons. Last I checked, Freemasons don't make up a quarter of our population. I also think it's sketchy how much they relied on Nazis to build the rockets. Not just any Nazis that performed human experiments in concentration camps. Don't listen to me though, listen to Werner von Braun, who was the chief architect of the Apollo mission. Go check out his tombstone to see his deathbed confession.
If the moon landing really happened, who exactly was holding the camera when the lunar module lifted off, perfectly framed, steady and cinematic? And if no one was behind it, how did that shot glide so smoothly without shaking, zooming, or panic? And if this was all planned, why does it look less like raw exploration and more like a rehearsed farewell? Hook aside, let's slow this down. We're told humans touched an untouched world, yet the most iconic moment of leaving the moon is filmed like a commercial. No tripod wobble, no rushed movements, just a clean upward shot, centered, calm, almost poetic. In an environment with extreme temperature swings, limited power, bulky gloves, and no room for mistakes, the camera somehow performs flawlessly. That alone deserves curiosity, not dismissal. Now, the usual explanation says the camera was mounted on the lander and remotely operated. Okay, fair. But that answer opens bigger questions. Remote control with what signal speed? From where exactly? With what margin for error? This wasn't a drone era, this was the 1960s. We're talking switches, cables, timing, and hope. A lot of hope. Especially when every gram, every watt, and every second supposedly mattered. And here's where it gets interesting. If everything was pre-programmed, then every movement was expected in advance. The liftoff timing, the angle, the ascent path. That means nothing spontaneous could happen. Exploration turns into execution. Discovery turns into choreography, a script instead of a surprise. And once you see it that way, the footage hits differently, almost uncomfortably so. Think deeply, and if this made your brain itch just a little, stick around. There's more where that came from.
The natural physics of water completely destroys the globe theory. Large bodies of water require containment, whether that's a bowl, a bottle, a sink, a bath, a hot tub, a pool, a lake, or an ocean. Large bodies of water have to be contained within something. It's the natural physics. Look at this. I have water in this bowl here. It's the natural physics of water bodies of water at rest will always seek level. The surface of this water is the most perfectly level thing that there is. And if I try to distort it, it'll always seek to find level. Large bodies of water at rest do not bend, do not curve, do not ever show convexity at their surface. They're always completely level. You can test that yourself. Observable, measurable, demonstrable, testable, and repeatable. Fill your bath up, fill your sink up. It doesn't matter what the shape of the bottom of the bath is, if it's curved or not. The surface of water, large bodies of water at rest, is always level. It will always seek level. That is the natural physics of water. Bodies of water do not stick to the outside of bowls. They do not stick to the outside of any other shape for that matter. Or you'll shout gravity, gravity, gravity. But that's not, it's just a claim. It's just a claim. It's not opposite, like that phenomenon of large bodies of water sticking to the exterior of a ball or for any other shape for that matter has never been seen anywhere in the natural world, never been seen anywhere in objective reality. It's never been seen anywhere outside the CGI cartoon figures from NASA. Now, lots of you globies will go, oh, do you know even science? Do you know even science? But the truth is, the heliocentric model on this ball Earth doesn't pass the slightest bit of scrutiny, let alone real scientific method. Now, you claim large bodies of water can stick to the outside of things. Prove it. Because I know what the natural physics of water is. I can use real scientific method. It's observable. The water always seeks level. It's observable. The water always needs to be contained. It's observable. It's measurable. It's demonstrable. It's testable, and it's repeatable. Your ball Earth, magic, supersonic, molten space water ball, it's just a claim. You've never seen it with your own eyes. It's pseudoscience. And before any of you guys start posting pictures of water droplets, that's just surface tension. A water droplet doesn't depict the vast oceans of this world. You add a couple of more droplets to that same droplet, it'll break and it'll do what its natural physics will always do: seek level. That only happens on the size of a droplet. That's surface tension. That's meniscus. That's it. That doesn't happen anything higher than a water droplet. And like I say, if you add a few more water droplets to that first water droplet, it'll break and the water will seek level. Now, 70% of Earth is water, and all water needs to be contained. All large bodies of water at rest like this is perfectly level. That's why it's called sea level. That's why we use water for leveling tools in building. Observable, testable, measurable, demonstrable. And that's why the globe is a lie.
If you're running on the outside of this track, you have to move faster because there's a greater distance because you're on the outside lane. So on the Earth, if you increase radius value to the Earth, you have to move faster to keep up with the spinning Earth. Otherwise, you would lag behind and there would be a Coriolis effect. So if someone releases a helium balloon on the Earth and the balloon goes up in altitude, away from the Earth, increasing radius value, the balloon would have to speed up laterally over the Earth, tangentially. Otherwise, it would lag behind. Now, of course, on the Earth, there's no Coriolis like that because the Earth is stationary, but let's see what my opponent has to say about it. If you're on the outside lane, do you have to travel faster to keep up?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go up in altitude on your globe religion, do you have to increase speed to keep up with the Earth?
No. It's all rotating at the same speed, at 15 degrees per hour.
So as you go higher up, does the air move faster and faster?
If you go up, directly up, you are not moving tangentially.
I know that, Craig.
But you said that you are.
No.
You just said you have to increase your tangential speed,
yes.
But
yes.
that's relative
like
to the Earth.
The outside lane,
right.
you have to move
Maybe
faster.
I need to clarify. You need to be moving tangentially relative to the surface for Coriolis to be applied.
Right, so you're saying that a helium balloon doesn't increase radius value to the Earth when it goes up?
It doesn't travel tangentially relative to the
that's
surface.
not my question. Does it increase radius value, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, and as you go higher up in the atmos, does the air have to move faster to keep up with the Earth?
Of course. Of course.
So if you go up in altitude on your globe religion, do you have to increase speed to keep up with the Earth?
No.
You're a stupid dumbass.
None other than the luminaries that are behind the sun.
Okay.
Such as Saturn, Venus, could be Uranus, Mars, Jupiter, all of the above.
Okay, can you give me a shred of evidence of that?
Sure, absolutely. Actually, not right this
Because
second, but I do have
claims
the
made
evidence.
without evidence can be dismissed without
No.
consideration.
I totally agree with you, but so I was talking about this back then because I got to observe star through the moon, right? But at the
Which is
same
completely
time, I did.
BS, but that's okay.
It's not, and there's a phenomenon called the Coleridge effect, and you could literally look it up. And they said it's discovered by the 1970s. I disagree because that thing has already been in here for thousands of years, so it's not something new. However,
Anyway, prove your
right,
conjecture.
prove my claim.
I'd love to hear it.
Correct. Yes, sir. So, due to that, and since the stars are moving from east to west, and so is the sun and the moon, right? And if these stars were behind the moon, then eventually they'll get behind back then, except for I couldn't confirm it. However, I did say there's a big possibility that those sunspots that we see are actually stars. There's only one problem or two problems that I was facing. One was there are different sizes of that, what we call sunspots. Cousin Ray, can you please mute? I muted you. The second part is one of those objects looks bigger than the rest, and that would be Saturn.
The North was not unknown. It was documented. Early cosmographers did not draw the Arctic as empty space. They recorded it as a structured region of the Earth, central, ordered, physically anchored. At the extreme north, they placed a single dominant feature, a massive formation, dark, solid, magnetically decisive. This was not symbolic language, it was technical description. Direction required cause. Magnetism required mass. Force did not exist without substance. The center was therefore not water. It was not ice. It was not void. It was recorded as a solid anchor governing orientation itself. From this center, 4 immense waterways were documented, continental in scale, aligned to the cardinal directions, powerful enough to dictate movement across the northern world. Ships could not cross them. Currents converged toward the center, not away from it. This geography was recorded first. Scripture was compared later. The structure existed in maps before any theological overlay was applied. The maps do not cite Scripture. Scripture was retrofitted to explain what was already charted. Greenland was never peripheral, it was central. Early maps show Greenland enlarged, connected, and integrated into the northern system. Not isolated, not marginal, treated as a remaining fragment of a larger structure that had already undergone collapse and inundation. Northern lands were described as having broken apart, channels opened, seas advanced. Greenland endured where others did not. Innovation in the north was assumed because it was required. Centrality implied height, dominance implied mass. The pole was understood as a convergence point, not an absence. The phrase sides of the north was not poetic, it was geographic. It referred to the furthest extremity of the earth as it was then understood. This understanding did not disappear because it was disproven. It disappeared because access ended. Navigation became controlled. Mapping became restricted. Independent verification stopped. Records were not corrected. They were dismissed. But maps do not invent structure repeatedly across cultures and centuries. They record what was once stable enough to chart. The North was not empty, it was central. And central structures are always redefined when control changes hands.
Hey, who wants to learn about the letter H?
I do! Now what can we do with the letter H? we can hula hoop.
Or
Create a massive global hoax.
What Ernie's referring to is the Apollo 11 moon landing that supposedly took place on July 20th, 1969.
to quote Neil Armstrong, this is one small step for man.
And one giant lie to mankind. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi, Ticket Taker Sam. Sam's been riding the rails ever since mean old Microsoft stole his formula for Windows 95.
Hey, Sam, I hear you've got a story for the kids.
I sure do, Miss Janice, and it's a real whiz-banger. Once upon a time, there was a president named Kennedy.
I promised to put a man on the moon before the end of the decade.
Mr. President, didn't you also promise civil rights?
That's another story, Trevor. Now excuse me while I go sleep with Judith Exner.
Meanwhile, poor inept NASA couldn't get a rocket into space. Pew!
So they turned to Plan B.
I'm LBJ. Boo! The end of the decade is here, and there's still no Americans on the moon. Those Ruskies are gonna beat us to it.
I'll help you, Mr. President.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Stanley Kubrick, and I'll use some tricks I learned while filming the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey, to fake a moon landing.
And we're the mafia, and we'll fund your scam to build a secret soundstage in Las Vegas.
Good. While people think they're in space, we'll keep the astronauts busy with whores and gambling. Then we'll pay them off, or brainwash them, or kill them.
The end.
Yay! Squawk? But is there any real proof it was a hoax? Squawk!
Is this proof enough, Gully Bird?
Wow!
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.